KHOU 11 News at noon starts now.
And we are following two big stories today. First, we're covering this severe weather as rain comes down across the Houston area. Plus, President Biden, a live look from Ellington Field as the president just landed in town to do some campaigning. We're going to have the latest on his visit. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ron Trevino in for Sherman Minchow. Much of the area is under a severe thunderstorm watch right now. Here's a live look from the KHOU weather tracker on the lookout for storms in your neighborhoods. Right now, we're bringing you the latest from Sugar Land. And here's a look from our TransStar camera. We're keeping an eye on all the roads. Now, if we see a major crash or backup, we will, of course, let you know about it. And here's a view from higher up from one of our tower cameras. We've got team coverage of the severe weather this afternoon. Let's get to Kim Castro as our weather team is staying busy right now. Hey, Kim.
Hey, Ron. Yeah, radar has been lit up throughout the early morning hours into the lunch hour. That's been the big takeaway from today. We've seen a couple storms with electricity, lots of cloud to ground lightning strikes, some of them that had the potential to bring us some isolated hail. But now the focus has shifted into how much rain we've been seeing over the last couple of hours. I mean, check out the Alvin area. This has had this kind of training rainfall since about the 10 o'clock hour. Now we're pushing noon, and they've stayed there and accumulated quite a bit of rain, especially in the Dixon area. In fact, this spot is receiving reports of multiple stalled vehicles in floodwater. That's along FM 517 and I-45. How much rain have they seen just in the last 3 hours? Radar estimates of close to 5 inches of rainfall. Now, our partnership with the Harris County Flood Control District allows us to see the flood gauges and examine whether any of them are nearing capacity and spillover. Luckily, right now they are not. However, this area that has seen the swath of rain parked there, so Santa Fe, including Alvin and stretching all the way down north of Angleton, is under a flood advisory now, and that extends until 2:45 this afternoon. The number of people affected, close to 130, but rain impacts all across Southeast Texas. Our Victor Jacobo is live in the weather tracker, and you're having a look at conditions closer to Sugar Land. What's that looking like?
Yeah, that's right. We're heading northeast here on I-69 in the Sugar Land area. I'm going to give you a quick look here on what the road conditions are. This is kind of similar to what we've seen for most of the area. As you see, even traffic that is pretty sparse, but even trucks and cars that are at a distance in front are still kicking back on a lot of moisture, and that is requiring us to slow down, make sure you have plenty of space, and make sure you're going at a speed in which you have plenty of time to brake. We've seen different precipitation levels throughout the area that we've driven to. We drove out to Katy earlier, now down to Sugar Land, but obviously the system moving eastward, and now we're heading towards the northeast area, towards the downtown area, and that's where really the daylight has really gotten more darker as you head into that direction. But for now, obviously keep in mind all those safety tips to slow down, have plenty of space, brake when you need to, and make sure you have all that in mind as you head out the door for these trips. For now, I'll send it over to Chris Ramirez, who has more from the studio.
Thanks, Victor. Of course, the main threats that we're seeing with these storms, and not really seeing any damaging winds, but that flooding threat definitely increasing for the area as we head into those afternoon hours. We still could get some hail activity later this afternoon. So definitely as we time this all out, as we get closer towards the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock hours, we're going to have a little bit of a break in this rain activity. The storms are going to become a bit more isolated in nature, but that doesn't mean that we could still see an isolated flare-up of a storm that could pose some problems later this afternoon. So a break, and then this is all ahead of another round of storms as we expect to go into around the 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. hours. We are expecting a arc band of storms to make their way through the area. This could potentially pack a bit of a punch. We could see some damaging winds out of this storm system as we go into the midnight hour to the 1 a.m. hour. So we're going to have to really keep an eye on the situation in the overnight hours. That's very well likely to wake us up in the overnight hours, but the good news is by 2 3 a.m. We're going to see those conditions clear on out. Weather conditions are going to calm for much of Friday, but as we go into the next 3 days, we're going to see a relatively great weekend. Highs in the upper 70s, but very well tracking another round of possible storms as we start next week. We'll have more on that later in the newscast.
All right, thank you so much, Chris. We've talked about the strong threat of severe weather this afternoon, and with that comes the worry of hail making a scary comeback. This video is from those strong storms we saw last Friday. KHOU Iloka has more now on how you can prepare.
Right about now, you're probably seeing dark clouds and rain outside as the chance of strong winds and hail lingers this afternoon. In the meantime, experts want you to park your car in the garage if you have one and bring in outside furniture to protect your property. Now, if you run into a big hiccup with your car being damaged by hail, you'll want to contact your car insurance provider immediately. Then make sure to take pictures and videos of all the damage. And if you haven't already, call your car insurance agent now to make sure you have coverage for non-collision related damage.
For the damages, that are related to hail, you need to have a comprehensive coverage when it comes to your auto. That's the part of the coverage that will cover those hail damages for your car.
We've seen a lot of hail cases over the last several days in the Houston area, like when Rodeo Houston shut down the carnival for an hour because of lightning and hail as people ran for cover. Or in Needville, where very big and dangerous looking hail crashed into homes and vehicles. Then, near Hobby Airport, hail was found falling on a sidewalk. And to protect your home, experts suggest that you check for missing bolts or loose hinges or anything else that might make your windows or doors shake if the threat of high winds as well as hail becomes a problem. KHOU Iloka, KHOU 11 News.
All right, now let's get a check on those wet roads and the effect on traffic with Junior Caruso now. Junior.
Hey, Ron. Yes, we've got some high water here on the northbound side of 45. Those lanes in the center where drivers are going through that ponding, they are trying to get onto I-10. That is the connector there. So traffic is moving slow to get onto I-10. It has bled onto the main lanes, causing a little bit of a slowdown. Right now, there is just under a 10-minute delay from Dallas Street. So wherever you're heading today, just give yourself extra time. There could be ponding in other areas. So wherever you're heading, extra time to get to your destination. Leave extra space between you and the vehicle in front of you and drive safely wherever your destination may be.
All right, thank you so much, Junior Caruso. Remember, you can share your weather photos and videos through the KHOU 11 app. Just go to the Near Me section at the bottom, then click Share with Us. As always, make sure you're in a safe place before you even think about taking pictures. All right, let's take a live look this afternoon at Ellington Field, where Air Force One sits right now as the president has just arrived in Houston. He landed at Ellington Field just moments ago after spending yesterday in Dallas. Texas is not considered a battleground state, but it is a big moneymaker for Republicans and Democrats. Biden's campaign raised $2.5 million in Dallas alone, and he's holding another fundraiser here in Houston. New data shows Biden has $71 million in his campaign account. That's more than double what former President Trump has at $33 million. During this Houston stop, the president also expects to tout his accomplishments like more student loan forgiveness. Today, the Biden administration announced it's canceling another $5.8 billion of student debt. This is for nearly 78,000 public sector workers, including teachers, social workers, some nurses, doctors, and government lawyers who've been paying for nearly 10 years. So far, the president has canceled nearly $144 billion of federal student loan debt for nearly 4 million Americans. Okay, we're watching now as the president has arrived at Ellington Field, about to get into that limo. Again, we told you that he is here for some fundraising. He's only here for a couple of hours. He was in Dallas yesterday. Looks like we can't see him behind that umbrella. Houston weather. But the president is in town as Air Force One sits there on Ellington Field. Let's see if we can get a shot of the president. Oh, there's the mayor, Mayor Whitmire. I think that's the president there in the black baseball cap. Good for Houston weather. Exchanging a few words with John Whitmire, who's also a Democrat here in Houston. The mayor walking away. They're doing the best they can in this Houston weather, and we'll be following this throughout the day. The president's visit comes as the legal standoff over Senate Bill 4 continues. As of right now, the Texas immigration law remains blocked. Stephanie Whitfield has the latest on that.
Texas Senate Bill 4 remains in legal limbo. The 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals held an emergency hearing on the controversial immigration law Wednesday. Governor Greg Abbott talked about the legal back and forth in Austin.
They are completed with those oral arguments. They've not issued an opinion on it, but they have kept the stay in place.
SB 4 gives local law enforcement unprecedented power to arrest and judges the authority to deport migrants accused of being in the country illegally. The Biden administration is challenging the law, saying it oversteps federal immigration law. Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo is one of many opponents voicing concerns.
There is a law that for all intents and purposes says if you look Hispanic, if a state or local law enforcement determines that you could be here illegally, they can arrest you.
With no timeline on when the federal appeals court will issue a decision, Governor Abbott continues to defend the new Texas law.
Even without SB 4, Texas has the legal authority to arrest people coming across the razor wire barriers on our border, and we will continue to use our arrest authority and arrest people coming across the border illegally.
Stephanie Whitfield, KHOU 11 News.
And breaking this afternoon, Houston police say a 6-month-old boy was found alone in southeast Houston. We're still working to learn more information at this time, but we do know the child was found in a car seat outside a home on Winthrop Lane just before 6:30 this morning. The baby was wearing a white and blue striped shirt and blue pants. As you can see, this picture from police shows the infant wearing different clothing now. The child has 2 bottom teeth. Anyone with information is asked to call the Children's Assessment Center at 713-986-3300. Again, that's 713-986-3300. We've got more breaking news this afternoon. Houston police say a missing 27-year-old woman has been found. Nearly 3 weeks ago, she disappeared. HPD tells us Christina Johnson was found around 6:30 this morning on the campus of the University of Houston downtown with a dog. Now, on March 6th, Johnson took her dog for a walk in the A-Leaf area but never came home. And earlier this week, her family told us Johnson's own dog was found alone 6 miles away. The police say she's been evaluated to make sure that she's okay. Now for a look at some of the day's other top stories. A man has been arrested and charged with shooting and killing a woman outside the Vegas hookah bar in southwest Houston. Chanel Pradia is set to go before a judge today. The shooting happened 2 weeks ago. Police say the shooter opened fire and ran away after he and 3 other men were kicked out. The woman who was killed was just an innocent bystander. And a frantic search in Idaho this afternoon after a man convicted of shooting at police broke out of custody yesterday. Police are also searching for the man who helped him escape. 3 Idaho correctional officers were injured in the shooting at a Boise area hospital right in front of the ER. Police say Nicholas Uppenhauer helped inmate Skylar Mead escape from custody there, and they fled in a gray 2020 Honda Civic. They're considered armed and dangerous, and authorities do not know where they might be headed. And we want to remind you that the Cougs take on Longwood University in round 1 of the NCAA men's tournament tomorrow. And KHOU 11 is a proud sponsor of the Cougs Watch Party. Join us on the Avenida Strip in downtown Houston for tip-off at 8:20. I'll even be there. All right, we're taking another live look outside this afternoon as the severe weather threat continues. Let's bring in our weather team again. First to you, Kim Castro.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of this throughout the morning, Ron. Radar that's showing moderate to heavy rainfall consistently falling down and in the same spots. Here's a loop over the last hour. Fix your eyes on Angleton all the way up into League City. I'm going to turn the clock back 3 hours, and you'll notice The same thing, a band of showers parked in that area, and that's brought down quite a bit of rain that's now causing issues on the roadway. I'm particularly focused along the Dixon area because we have seen reports of stalled vehicles along FN 517 and I-45. So just be careful wherever you're traveling. Just like Junior Caruso told you, make sure you slow down and give yourself extra space between you and the car in front of you. Radar indicated total is impressive, 4 to 5 inches for that area. And so for that reason, we are watching the potential of localized flooding. There's a flood advisory for that swath that's seeing that 4 to 5 inches radar indicated rain until 2:45. About 120,000 people impacted by that, but everybody in Southeast Texas has the potential to see some marginal risk of flooding. Again, for those high water spots. Something else I've been watching just off the coast, there's a lot of convective activity and even some rotation. There's been alerts of possible spin-ups, water spouts, so no boating whatsoever for today. There was a threat for some of that activity to push closer towards the coast. An isolated tornado was a coastal concern. Hail and wind was a concern area-wide, but that's been downgraded from a 2 to now a level 1 threat. Our meteorologist Chris Ramirez has more details on what kind of severe threats we have in store for the rest of the day.
Yes, Kim, of course, those threats include the torrential rain as well as some possible hail with some storms that will flare up in the overnight hours. But I just wanted to show you what's happening right now just outside in the Galleria area, showing that widespread rain still at play, very wet roadways and all that rain like Kim was just talking about. But as we time this out, we are expecting just a little bit of a break in this rain activity as we head closer towards the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock hours. The rain coverage is going to become more isolated in nature, so expect to still see a possibility of a flare-up of a strong storm or two as we get closer towards the 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock hours. So this is the first round, the first of second round of rainfall as we are expected in the evening hours. As we get closer towards the 11 o'clock, 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. hours, we are expecting another round of storms, but this storm activity looking likely to pack a bit of a punch as we get closer towards midnight. We could see damaging winds, that hail threat with this line of storms, and when we usually see that bow echo there, that usually indicates that we could very well get some damaging winds on the back side of this system as it moves off towards the east. And the good news is by 2 o'clock, 4 a.m., we are expecting clear conditions, and those conditions are going to be more calm as we head into tomorrow. So the main threat as we head into the next few days, damaging winds still likely for tonight, but we are expecting that rising street flooding risk as well as the possibility for some large hail as we head into the overnight hours. So expect more clear conditions for the weekend, but also more rain chances as we start next week. Of course, Kim Castro has more on our extended outlook.
Yeah, Chris, you showed us that echo. That's going to be something to watch tonight and make preparations ahead of time before you go to sleep. If you sometimes park the car on the street, make sure you park it inside a garage, something with an awning, because we could see a hail potential with that kind of reflectivity on our future track models. And the bowing means some gusty wind. It's going to moving in and out really quickly throughout the evening and overnight hours. That means your Friday forecast is quiet. Look at that. Waking up 9 o'clock, we're in the mid 60s. Temperatures quick to rise. The sun is coming out, 75 degrees at 3 o'clock. So as you are headed to Avenida for the watch party, this is what you can expect to cheer on KHOU's house. 70 degrees. It is going to be breezy. So behind these storms, we have the north wind 15 to 20 miles an hour. That's just for your Friday. A nice comfortable weekend ahead. 77 degrees on your Saturday with lots of sunshine. Now Sunday, we start to increase some of that cloud cover in preparation for the next storm chance. It is spring, and this is the typical pattern. High temperatures that are in the mid to upper 70s and on and off chances to see showers and storms. Stay with us throughout the day. We'll have more updates on tonight's storm chances online and on your TV screens. Ron?
All right. Thank you so much, Kim Castro. Now is the time to make sure you have the KHOU 11 mobile app so you can follow the forecast and get weather updates sent right to your phone. The app is free to download right now. And remember, because of March Madness on KHOU 11, today and tomorrow, we have some programming changes. Just like today, we're going to stream tomorrow's news at noon on KHOU.com and our KHOU 11 Plus app. And today and Friday, our 6 p.m. newscast will air half an hour earlier at 5:30. And KHOU 11 News at 10 will air a bit later after the games. Well, that's going to do it for us for now. For all the good folks here at KHOU 11, I'm Ron Trevino. Be careful in this weather. See you again at 4 o'clock.